enterprise IT, what's next is now. Technology is continually evolving, with data, devices, and connectivity increasing exponentially. You need true IT resilience to stay ahead. IT resilience is more than availability and uptime. It also requires hardening cybersecurity across every facet of your IT ecosystem. 90% of the world's data was created in the last 2 years, and the demand for connectivity has become ubiquitous. The explosion of data sources, and devices has broadened the attack surface and made effective security and governance even more difficult. Unfortunately, 74% of businesses report they are not cyber resilient. Is your organization resilient? Do you know how to get there? Are you prepared for what's next, now? For over 30 years, Quest has been delivering solutions that help enterprise organizations just like yours. Our enterprise software solutions deliver true IT resilience with software that scales and streamlines IT operations, protects and empowers identities, users, and data. Hardens cybersecurity from the inside out. In fact, our software is empowering IT professionals in more than 130,000 companies across 100 countries, including 95% of the Fortune 500 and 90% of the Global 100. And when you encounter a new, unexpected challenge, trust our award-winning support team. They understand the technology, but never lose the human touch. We may be a technology company, but our work is all about empowering IT people. Next is the new normal. When your next is now, Quest is the company you turn to manage, modernize, and secure your business. We create the software that makes the benefits of new technology real and the outcome assured. From database and systems management to Active Directory and Office 365 management and cybersecurity resilience, Quest helps customers solve their next IT challenge now. For your next IT challenge and everything that comes after, next starts with Quest. Quest, where next meets now.
Very good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sivaram. That's there. I lead the solutions for the company. This is a 30-year-old company started with several solutions. Started with a database automation platform. Slowly, we were into a security way back in 2010, if I'm right, yeah. But I'm sure some of you are part of the security as a portfolio solutions for more than a decade or more than 2 decades. So even though we have several solutions, what we shown on a quick short video, but I cannot have a luxury of talking about all. We have taken a topic of focusing on how do we improvise the cyber resilience towards Active Directory, which has become a more and more center point of authentication and authorization system for most of your companies, right? So now, when we say more or less, we can say it is a gatekeeper for all your users to access your data as well as the objects, anything in your enterprise-wide network. So now, how do we focus and prevent ourselves from any such cyber-related attacks, or how do you make sure any internal users are also not hacking into your systems by penetrating towards your identities? So let's start with some basic clarity. So now, Active Directory is a center pillar of authentication for close to 2 decades now, and it's quite sometimes is being constantly upgraded, and whatever the misconfigured debits still relies in your same Active Directory setup. It does not go anywhere. If you move to Azure, you are carrying your baggage. So now, how well you will be able to make sure this is prevented against any unauthorized users? So that's where we are starting with the basics. We need to make sure your attacks path has to be found in. So there are a lot of people who spoke before me has given a different understanding on what all the attack systems exist. Yes, attack systems exist, but how do you prevent such attack systems by having a identification of different attack paths? So now we provide solution to help to identify such attack paths. So there's a general saying, the one which you cannot see, you cannot prevent from that. So we focus in that thought process and first of all provide a feasibility to find such attack paths. The attack paths can be many. It could be from a single executable to several user rights management which is misconfigured in several authorization process. So all such baggage should be identified and visible to you. That is a primary objective what we normally recommend while we are consulting our customers. And going further, we also provide recommendation of regular auditing. And when it comes to auditing, you need a real-time auditing systems. The real-time auditing systems is the one which can help you to identify where you lag, where you need to improve, and that constant alert system should also prevent from any frequent unauthorized systems. So that's where we focus towards the assessment and auditing platform as an improvisation first. And going on, when you move to Azure AD, when you're migrating from on-prem to Azure AD, are you making sure you are doing a risk assessment? So I'm sure most of the companies, they do probably a 5 years once a risk assessment for AD. They do for business applications, but when it comes to the identities, which is a center pillar for most of the authorizations, it's not being taken very seriously. But that is a key way forward to make sure your loopholes are plugged and you are having a safe journey towards your application access. So let me take you through a few visual of Active Directory services which started in 1999, how it has been grown. Initially, Active Directory is being used only for authentication. So now, when new applications are launched, it has always been database-driven authorizations. Now, AD has become your center pillar of authentication and authorization for all your business applications. So now, how are you really safeguarding and preventing your authorization systems? The only way, you get into identity and access management solutions. Yes, it's well and good, but are you keeping your Fort Knox ready for that system enablement? So IDAM is a journey. A lot of companies who spoke here has clearly said governance is something, a journey what every company has to go through. Before governance, your existing authentication system, which is also managing your authorizations for several applications, it could be a database, it could be application, is it completely cluttered out with pure access to only genuine users? To be frank, I would proudly say no, which is the primary object which most of the company need to concentrate, and that is what we recommend you to do it, where we'll be able to provide a single pane of glass between both on-premise to Azure AD and provide access towards that. So that takes you to the best results of managing Active Directory more and more in a more clear path with a clear identification. Going further, now being authorization and authentication has become a center pillar with your Active Directory as a primary focus, we need to know that Active Directory risk has moved from moderate to a major risk for a lot of customers, and that is being constantly neglected. And whenever there is a risk assessment being done, and that is not at all being taken care with a full implementation of risk changes. So that's where we purely address customer by consulting with the right approach. How do we improvise this risk mitigation plan by bringing down the risk from a high risk to a moderate or to a low scenario? So that's where we start. And some of the risks to consider, which is a genuine risk, even a previous panelist, Girish, has identified that your recovery system should be stronger. Okay, data mean a lot, as other gentlemen said, by data starts with as simple as a structured or a unstructured, and the other way of data is available. So when it comes to the most of the company, identity is one of their primary key data. How well your current enterprise solutions are geared up to do a granular recovery for your identities. When you create a new authorization policy for your several applications, when there is any changes happens, is that possible to recover partial group policy changes or a huge policy changes which you implemented for thousands or 10,000s of users? Can you revert back? When you implement a new changes on your entire risk, is it possible to go back those risks immediately? No, not at all possible. That's the reality of most enterprise backup solution. This is one of the reason why no risk assessment is being completely implemented. The risk assessment, most of the time what we hear from customer, maximum is 30 to 40% is getting implemented. What about the 60%? Is it not the auditor did a good job of giving you a right viewpoints, which are all the important key factors for you to consider and implement it. And one of the other common point is your role mining, which is part of your SOD. And role mining is a very critical part for you to make sure it is getting implemented. But most of the role mining implementation takes days together for you to implement it back. And if you miss it, and you may have an unknown user have access to a business critical applications, which may be a huge nightmare for your business deviations. So that's where we concentrate, and we provide a good amount of SOC, which followed by your CAA practice and AA practice. And I think I would say even in some of our movies, including our guest speaker Albos acted, where the unknown user has entered into a movie like Vishwarupam, which highlighted where really knowing your users, knowing your critical users is very important, and validate it before you are putting them into your systems. So that's a quick highlight I want to give it. And going further, we do have a good amount of blogs written in our websites. If you like to scan it and then know about this blog, they will be available. And it gives a very good consulting understanding for people who are managing the security of the systems. And hereby, thank you very much. And we'll be there in the booth for any queries and questions. Thank you.